Yo, what's good, what's poppin', beautiful people? It's your boy Mano, aka palmwinepapi. Welcome back again to the channel. If you're new here, definitely check out the rest of the content here. We do a bunch of Afropop, Afrobeats, and Nigerian music in general, so definitely tap in, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, today we're talking about Blaqbonez and his new album called Sex Over Love. Alright, Blaqbonez, we already know Blaqbonez as one of the most prominent figures in Nigerian music, I would say. He's an artist that definitely stands out of the bunch, thanks to his, I would say, risque and out of the box marketing strategies and attention-seeking tactics that he does, and he owns them, and he's a genius in that aspect of getting people to talk about him and talking about his music. And his talent is also there to follow through with the noise. I think he's also there to he's also there to like proclaim the fact that yeah, I am the best rapper in Africa. Whoever wants to come at me should come at me. And after all of that, he's still a rapper that doesn't want to own up to the rap persona. He doesn't want to be boxed into the rap category, because to a large sense he was seen as the rapper to take on the torch that MI and AQ could pass down to him. But he has started to, you know what, push himself away from that rap persona and doesn't want to be seen solely just as a rapper. And you guys know me, I'm not one to shame any rapper for not rapping consistently, because then again, you don't want to box anybody in anything. And the situation that we're in, the industry it's not the best, okay, to put food on the table if you want to be a rapper. It's not the best route to take. And I think if you can do both organically and not to the point where it sounds gimmicky, then for sure do both. Do everything, as long as it's quality that can stand on its own and the music can speak for itself. Do you, my guy? Yeah, with this one we had some singles already from last year. We got Haba, and we got the whole Stream Haba campaign. From one instance you might think, oh my gosh, how can he keep up with this next level of noise? But then again, on the next one, BBC, we got something like a Santi-esque kind of vibe, something of the Caribbean dancehall kind of bounce as well. Very chilled, very laid back record that was obviously very risque, and even went forward to have Tiwa Savage on the remix of that, and the song did very well for him, and it's on this album as well. So and shortly before the album release, he dropped another, in that same vein of BBC, another song called Blink with Amare and Buju on that, and that was an amazing record. It's doing its numbers too. It's performing well for him. So it's like he's gone 3 for 3 almost on leading up to this album. It's set to be his debut LP. Other projects that he has released, I guess, can be looked at as mixtapes. And also one thing about Blaqbonez, he creates a persona here and there. He creates like alter egos for each project, for each moment. For his Bad Boy Black EP, which was the EP where I first found out about him, he was that, and he was supposed to be a bad boy and Mr. Bombastic, and then now we're getting Emeka the Stallion. Emeka the Stallion, he's very comedic and very satirical in the grand scheme of things, man. But I'm excited about this one. He has 14 tracks. I think 6 of them have features on them. We have Bad Boy Teams, we have Tiwa, we have Amare, Buju, Nasty C. I'm looking forward to Nasty C record, man. I'm looking forward to Nasty C record because they're both rappers, both strong MCs. I'm seeing what they'll put together. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm excited to get right into it. So much like the Parisi one, I'm going to listen to the album and then talk about it at the end, and then bits by bits I'm going to be releasing reactions to each single. All right. So I'm about to get right into the album. Wish me luck. Let's dive in. Okay, that was the album. That was Sex Over Love by Blaqbonez. I didn't think it ended rightly. I didn't think the album had a nice closer to it. I wouldn't put Haba for a closer. Scenic Route definitely felt like it was a wrap after that point. Haba just felt like, if anything, felt like a bonus track on this album, even though it's meant to tap into the spirit of the album. But yeah, I think the only point of it being here was just to boost the numbers for the album itself. Not a bad album, not a bad experience nonetheless. When it comes to the narrative, when it comes to the theme and the subject matter of the album, he could have been a lot more consistent. There were areas where he was tapping into narratives that were not really feeding or reinforcing what was said in the album, but I can appreciate it being looking at things from a different angle, having more of a holistic point of view when it comes to things. There's instances where you can appreciate love, say in the instance of a best friend, or in the context of having somebody so important to you that you want to still keep them in your circle, and but it doesn't necessarily advocate for a sex over love kind of narrative on a song like Don't Touch You, right? And every other song definitely tapped into that lane, into that pocket of not taking love so heavy on your head, like Sukomia is to be more provocative, to be more liberal in the sex escapade, having your whole phase. Nonetheless, it did an okay job in terms of tapping into that subject matter of sex over love. When it comes to the creation of this album, I felt like for the most part there were features here that made sense. There were features here that were in their atmosphere that did work for them. You can give an instance like Nasty C. Nasty C's presence here was decent. I don't think it was to the point where he left a lasting impression on me for the album, but it was okay. It was okay to say the least. I mean, Nasty C is another artist that definitely is making his own rounds across the globe. So then again, a nice figure to have on the album, especially from an African hip hop standpoint. Amare, Buju, I think those were two of the strongest, if not the strongest presence here from features. Buju came correct and owned that song in my opinion. Tiwa Savage was definitely into that raunchy energy that BBC warranted for. One of my strongest impressions here was from Joeboy. Joeboy definitely left a lasting impression here. That voice was definitely not what I was expecting from a Joeboy. From a Joeboy that was so out of character in order to fit into the album. He felt out of character, but in a way that he did it so well. It felt like he has been wanting to break that side of him before, and I love that Blaqbonez brought it out of him, on the song called Fendi, and I love that bounce, that record for that. But when it comes to features like Wonder Banton and Bad Boy Tim's, felt off. This wasn't a Bad Boy Tim's record. If anything, it leaned towards Wonder Banton, which had a strong highlight feel to it. But Bad Boy Tim's didn't belong on this record. He sounded lousy on it. It wasn't really of an organic atmosphere for him. It was just out of place. And Blaqbonez, again, making it intentional by being on the hook of many of the songs that he has. People that can easily hand him over good hooks. He felt to taking upon himself to deliver a hook, but I felt like, yeah, he just sacrificed that record, the quality of that record, and Faji ended up being one of my least favorite listens on this album. Zombie with Psycho YP was so well put in order to have Psycho in his element. Psycho YP was in his element for sure. So this was another good instance of curation here that was okay, this is the atmosphere you want for this particular feature. This kind of person you're thinking for. And then we had Lakon on the last verse, which Lakon for me felt like he introduced himself very well on this album. Made a strong impression, but looking and then stretching towards to the meat of his verse, it fell flat for me. He was trying to squeeze too many syllables into the song, ended up making him sound offbeat in many instances. There were clever bars here, nonetheless. I love the bar about the range. I thought that was clever. But yeah, nonetheless, it didn't make for a soothing listen because his delivery was just off towards the end. But the first couple bars were so I'm here, pay attention to me. The beat got switched up. I love that he did that, and then Check finally for the last feature was strong, super strong. That element of being a best friend, that element of them having a strong emo rap, tapping into that today's hip hop scene, that Rudy Rich, that Rod Wave, that Lil Baby kind of bounce. It came correct with that. Check is that guy you want to call for something like that. And they might have a TikTok moment out of this song called Best Friend, man. Definitely should be able to make that kind of energy. People will be singing about it when it comes to making videos or moments about their best friends, and it makes sense. Very, very intentional, very brilliant for that song. And yeah, that's what I thought about the creations here. Mostly appropriate features here, but in some instances fell flat and took away from the record. On the topic of his delivery, man, Blaqbonez was definitely, we already know he's a rapper at first instance, but he's coming there with an evolved rapper, and a rapper that's trying to get with the times. On this album, you can definitely hear him try to get with the times, sounding more Travis Scott-ish, sounding more, rather rich. The delivery here was so intentional in terms of leaning towards that perspective. You didn't get too rapidly rap on any record here. Maybe Heartbreaker, but even that one too still tapped into and evolved and rapper as well. But my absolute favorite moment here, when it came to him singing, when it came to him tackling that singing perspective, a rapper where they sing, Never Been in Love. Great song. Great song, great moment for him as a singer. And then followed by Don't Touch, which had another strong presence of him singing. And then him ending that song with a rap verse. I feel like the delivery here, the entire album, for the most part, definitely stood out. And I could definitely give him some credit for that. There were moments where he felt like he didn't need to be on the hook. Again, another instance like Faji, I wasn't really with that one. But Fendi, when he really tapped into an Afrobeats element with Joe Boy, for the fact that he didn't even give Joe Boy the opportunity to have the hook, I felt like he came through on that instance. So we got a balance. We got a balance of good and bad from the Blaqbonez, from a Blaqbonez singing perspective. Again, he's a rapper that is singing, and I've not been opposed to rappers tackling singing if they can sing. To put food on the table, it's sad, but that's the industry that we live in currently. I put in the factor that he's coming in from one of the biggest record labels in the country, or even in Africa. Even though Chocolate City does have a huge hip-hop legacy that it lives on, Blaqbonez has been unapologetic about him making and carving his own lane, trying to get with the times. And the legacy of MI and Jesse Jags and Ice Prince is still it's there for what it is. But Blaqbonez is not trying to, obviously from this album you can see that he's not trying to pick up from where they left. He's making he's casting a wide net with this album, and he's showing all his skill sets that he has and what he can deliver. And yeah, for the most part, he came through that singing and rapping balance, And the production here was heavy. Shout out to Beats by J, man. Beats by J definitely. I had the perspective of Beats by J, obviously knowing his track record with MI and AQ. There's a certain lane I put him in, but he definitely was more flexible on this album. Showed more skill sets. Showed that he could tap into what feels more organic in today's hip hop. Today's era of hip hop, and he definitely set the atmosphere well for Blaqbonez to drive home his point of Sex Over Love. In the landscape of things, where does this album sit against the rest of the albums that Blaqbonez has, or the EPs that Blaqbonez has? This is his debut LP, and it definitely would go on as his most commercial standing record, his most commercial standing album, because there are definitely big, huge hitters here, and big, huge hitters quality, man. You can see that in Blink with Buju and Amare, finding the weird balance, like that song alone was him actually being more intentional about, because Buju's fan base is not the same as Amare's. Like, you wouldn't necessarily put these two people on the song. You wouldn't necessarily see their words coming together, but Blaqbonez was somehow able to make an atmosphere that could fit both of them in, and tapping into those networks too. So again, very, very brilliant in terms of strategy and who to call on to bless the records here, because he was casting a very wide net for this album, and standing against all his other projects, this would be the most purposeful, the most commercial appealing kind of album that he can have. So I can see that he was going on for that. For an LP, I don't think it served too much to Nigerian hip-hop, but he definitely said something about where hip-hop in general is right now. Now, Blaqbonez is an important figure now in Nigerian hip-hop. He's deciding where the wave is in some sense, especially for the newer generation. So yeah, he made that claim that this is where Nigerian hip-hop is, with songs like Best Friend, with songs like Heartbreaker, with songs like Zombie as well. He's definitely pushing Nigerian hip-hop towards that aspect, at the same time still being commercial in the sense, and being able to tap into other markets as well. So he definitely played it safe for a Nigerian commercial album. He might not necessarily be connecting to the average Nigerian on the streets with this song, winning over people that still appreciate Afrobeats, Afropop in the sense, by having Buju, having Joe Boy here, and even Laycon to some extent, but he's also tapping into that Altair wave, man, with the bounce of the Santi-esque atmosphere that he built up in this album, you know, with records like BBC, with Habba to some extent, and definitely Blink. You can see him tackle so much and trying to win over so many markets with this album. So it definitely made sense, and that's where this album would stand for as compared to the rest of his work. My favorite songs undoubtedly be, first off, Don't Touch. Don't Touch had a similar but Afro pop bounce you can hear from someone like Dice Ills or CK, that kind of delivery too as well. And then you can see him at the end of the song rap again, and rap in the most intentional ways. It kind of gave me like a Drake format kind of thing, like almost sort of like a Take Care Drake, you know. Another favorite of mine would be Fendi with Joe Boy. I love Joe Boy's voice on this so much. I definitely add a character for him. And Fendi was a strong hook from Blaqbonez too. Standing next to it and acts like Joe Boy, he definitely showed up and could stand his own and hold his own weight on this. Another record I would say I really loved was Best Friend. I think this was definitely one of the best hip hop moments on this album. Another favorite of mine would be Blink for sure. And another favorite of mine would be TGF Pussy. TGF Pussy was a comedic song, man. That's when you saw more character from Blaqbonez. Starting off the record, making you think as if he's about here to give gratitude to God. He's telling you that when he was a kid, Barney was teaching him to say please and thank you. And then getting to the meat of the song, you find out what he's talking about. And it was a very funny moment in my head. And I think that's it for my favorites. My least favorites here, I didn't like Faji, man. I didn't like Faji. It was a poorly created song. Wasn't a strong moment here. Another least favorite of mine would be Okwara G. It felt like a age-old narrative brought to death. Samuel Okwara G, like yeah. It feels been there, done that, and it was kind of like a weak moment in the album. Now for my final rating on this album, Sex Over Love. Thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I've been your boy Emmanuel, aka palmwinepapi. Thank you for experiencing this album with me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
The lady boy, cause he's shiny. Too many girls when they sign me.